So, what in your opinion makes like a good monster in a movie? Because there's been hundreds of thousands of monsters in movies, but only like a couple of them are iconic, and people are like, "I love anytime this guy shows up," or they
Yeah,
see a monster and they're just like, "That's lame. I don't want to. Don't do that anymore." So, what do you think makes like a good monster?
I think the iconic monsters in like film, like you have like the Universal monsters, which were like the first ones that like really went for it with like the effects and stuff. I think what makes a good monster is it has to look good, like it has to be made well. It has to have like intention and originality in its design. It's got to be just something that's eye catching and just weird. And I think the other thing that can make it good, if depending on the kind of film, is personality. I think if you give your monster a personality, it can make it like a million times better. And people think like, oh, like slasher films, they don't have personalities and stuff. Well, Leatherface and Texas Chainsaw, he has a crazy personality. He's like a crazy guy. He's like yelling and moving around. He's getting mad at himself. Uh, Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street is hilarious, and he's filled with one-liners. If you ever watch it, there's so many funny one-liners that he drops. And then you have Jason Voorhees, which is the number one no personality killer. He's just walks, stabs. Same with Michael Myers. They're just like emotionless attackers, kind of. But I think that they look imposing, and I think that for what they're trying to do with the movie, I think it works. So I think it's all you have to have like every ground covered. It's got to look good. It's got to have some personality to it, and it's got to fit with the movie you're making.
I agree, and I think what makes Michael and Jason just so iconic is, I guess, like the characters' reactions to them. Because like,
Yeah.
if they came out of nowhere and the characters were just like, "Hey, look at Jason," hey,
Well,
then they wouldn't like. I don't think they'd be nearly as memorable.
one of the guys who played Jason Voorhees, one of the most notable actors who played him, was named Kane Hodder, and he was
Hmm.
talking about how like you have to like it's like oh people don't think there's a lot of acting involved. You're just a big guy walking around like knocking stuff over, killing kids. But he said that one thing that he made sure he did with the character is like he never looked down. He never like made it look like he was like trying to see where he was walking. He just confidently went where he was going. Like it was like straight ahead, boom.
Mm.
And he said that he didn't want to show any weaknesses to the character. And I thought that that was kind of like a cool, like into the mind of the people behind these characters actually playing them and what they think goes into it. And so I don't know. I feel like maybe I take it back. Maybe Jason and Michael Myers have a little bit of personality. There's my Michael Myers
I
mask.
think that's cool looking back now that I think about it, because like I feel like whenever a normal person goes through the woods, like if me and you were to go on a hike right now, we'd be looking down, making sure we don't like step in any holes or step on a branch or a weird animal or a bug. So I guess that would like freak me out if I went like hiking with someone and they just like looked forward the whole time.
Yeah, very confident, almost creepy. It's like robotic, but I think that
Hmm.
kind of works with the character because it does make them look like they're not aware of anything else other than attacking whoever's in front of them, which I think just makes it all kinds of fun.
Oh yeah, is there an iconic monster or slasher icon that you just think is not as cool as the horror community makes it out to be?
Oh, don't put me on the spot with one of these. You're gonna make me look like a Judas. Oh man, I'm gonna have to think about that one. Like one that I'm not super into that everybody else is.
Yeah. Silence.
I kind of wasn't 100% into the new Pennywise design. I
Really?
love Bill Skarsgård so much to where
Hmm.
it made up for it because his performance was really good. But I think as far as like I mean obviously it's iconic and it's like already solidified itself into pop culture, but I just think that they could have gone scarier.
Hmm. And my buddy Zane, he's read it the book like many times,
Yeah.
and he was telling me he didn't think that captured the spirit of what Pennywise was in the book because he felt like Pennywise should have been this very approachable, fun-looking clown like Tim Curry's. Like if you didn't know any context, like you would say like, "Oh, look, there's a fun-looking birthday clown." If you looked at Tim Curry's, but Bill Skarsgård is like straight up like almost Lovecraftian.
I love the Tim Curry Pennywise so much. The original It was like one of my favorite films. When I first saw it, I watched it like I've seen it so many times over and over again, and I
Hmm.
think that might be a little bit of why I'm not like super sold on the design. That being said, I actually met the costume designer who did the costume for Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise. She came to Lee University to do a talk, and I talked to her for a second, and it's cool because they settled on that Victorian style dress
Hmm.
that he wears, and it's like that poofy stuff, and it's like the old classic clown stuff, which I get because they're like implying because he's years, centuries old, and he's been living on Earth for a while, and he's always been posing as a clown. So I thought that that was like, I guess, a very clever way to like add to the lore and to make it, more fun. I love the first film. The second film didn't get me as good, but the first,
I didn't like it.
It Chapter One was pretty baller. Andy
Oh yeah,
Muschietti's a great director.
I agree. And the first one is just it's so rewatchable too,
Yeah,
like because it has like a Stand By Me like Goonies vibe to it, which I'll always enjoy because I guess that's why I love Stranger Things and just anything 80s looking really. And I'm also glad they set it in the 80s so that the second one could be in modern times. I think that was kind of clever.
I feel like
And
there's so many shows now that are kind of like trying to piggyback off of that whole um, group of kids together in the 80s, no parents helping them, like no phones. And I think that's like just the easiest way to like, I guess, build a character dynamic is to strip away like the modern technologies and modern issues that we have to face today, and basically being like, nope, we're in the 80s now, so now all these rules that used to apply don't apply. And I think it just gives people more freedom to make things. But that being said, I think we're also making there's a lot of new movies coming out that are almost like too modernized, like some sci-fi horror that's dropping that's all very weird to watch.
yeah, and to that, I would say there's so many movies that if they were set today, they would be so boring because they'd be like, oh, why didn't that person just call them? Why didn't they just FaceTime? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they use this phone or this iPad or whatever? So you take all that away, and it feels, I guess it's just a way to make the story feel more interesting.
Do you
Like
think
I'm
it's hard
writing,
to make a character based in like modern times because we have the distractions of like phone and social media and stuff?
I didn't, not every time, I guess in like the situation with like It or Stranger Things. I just don't think those stories would be as fun if because like those kids at that age today have like phones, and if anything goes wrong, they call their mom or dad.
If I saw a bunch of kids on a bike going down the street in my neighborhood, I'd call the cops because I think they're about to like mug me or something. Like, wow, these kids are just like cruising around on bikes. That's scary. Me and my friends were actually at a bar in Cleveland hanging out, and a bunch of kids started BMXing around us. And we walked up to them. And we were like, "Hey, can we take a photo on your bikes?" And they were like, "Sure." And we all got on their bikes and took a photo. It was goofy. I gotta find that photo. It's a good one.
Please send it to me when you do.
I'm just gonna. I could probably pull it up on my phone and hold it up to the screen. It's
Sure, why not?
there it is.
Dude, that's so funny. Is there any like modern tropes in movies that you're getting really sick of besides that one?
Um, I will say, I really will say, like the '80s trope is now a modern trope to me. I feel like it's something that I see a lot of big productions companies doing and stuff, and I feel like it's also something that like I see a lot of indie like filmmakers do, and I get it. It is fun. I love it. I like the aesthetics of it, but I feel like we can have fun and have the like people are like, oh, they have crazy hair and crazy clothes in the '80s. I'm like, we have crazy hair and crazy clothes now. Like we can do costume and character design based around this century, but this century based around this time period, and
Hmm.
still, I don't know, we can still make things visually and aesthetically pleasing without, I don't know, maybe without bringing up the old Nokia phones and whatnot. I say we bring back the '90s. The '90s isn't getting any love right now. Britney
I
Spears was '90s.